I promise this has not become a webcam review channel, but of all of the ones I've tested, 4K, 1080p, doesn't matter. If I only had to keep one, it would be the OBSBOT Meet SE. Now, it's not because it necessarily does anything differently compared to the rest. It has the same great low light performance, decent image quality, and AI tracking. But the thing is that it does all these things in a compact form factor, but at a much better price point. So I want to talk about all of the things I love about it, some of the things that I don't like about it, and hopefully at the end, you'd have everything you need to make a decision. Let's dive in. So if you picked up one of these, the unboxing experience is very straightforward. You just get the web camera, a USB-C cable, and a bunch of manuals. If you're not necessarily using a USB-C connection, you also have a USB-C-A adapter for whatever scenario works best for you. So you're going to be pretty much covered. So now that you have it out of the box, you'd of course want to set this up. I like what they've done here. They have a magnetic plate and it has an anchor that allows it to basically hook onto your monitor. You can place the webcam in either a portrait or landscape view, depending on what works best for you. It also has a 1/4-inch screw at the bottom of the webcam itself. So if you don't want to use the magnetic plate and you want it to be like on a typical mic stand, you can just mount it there as well. There are pricier options that don't come with nearly as much mounting options as this particular one has. So I do appreciate that touch. And also, depending on the color scheme of your setup, these also come in multiple colors. So you can check out which color works best and go with one that, aligns better with your setup. There's also a 4K version of this webcam. So if you needed something with a bit more resolution, maybe a bit more sharpness or clarity in the image, you could definitely go with the 4K version. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but for most people, I think the 1080p version is going to be plenty fine. And also when it comes to the build quality, these feel very solid. There's no creaking, no bends or anything like that. However, the way the lens protrudes out a little bit, if this were to fall face down, I don't know how protected it can be. It does have a protective plate though. Could they have done it in such a way that it dangles or is connected to the webcam so that anywhere you take this goes along with you? Possibly. But in terms of privacy, you can just stick that on and you're good to go. Moving on to the software here, this is where this webcam definitely shines compared to most of its competitors. The ones I've tested, Razer and the likes, for me personally, I just prefer the software that OBSBOT has put together. Now, this webcam would work with any streaming software for choice, like the very popular OBS Studio or the likes. But if you want a bit more customization that's native to the OBSBOT, you definitely want to install the app. This is where you can do lots of customization. It's also where you can do firmware updates, things like that. I've already done a deep dive into the software. If you want to really know the ins and outs of the software, you can watch that video. But I'll just do a quick rundown here just so that you have an idea. There are 3 main tabs in the OBSBOT app. You have console, image, and the more tab. When it comes to the console tab, you can change things like the frame rate settings. Slow motion means the footage would already be slowed down in playback, while normal means it's going to capture the 100 frames and then you can decide to slow it in post. You can toggle auto framing and set preset options for different parts of the scene. Maybe you want tracking on in one zone and tracking off in another zone. You can set this up as well. Under the image tab, you can customize things like the focus settings, whether you want it to focus on your face or just like global focus, or the exposure levels, white balance, image settings. You can change all of that on here. The autofocus, I would say, is definitely better than the Tiny SE, at least in my testing. It seemed to grab focus a lot more often compared to the Tiny SE. And in the more tab, you can customize things like the gesture controls and the microphone settings. I would say that compared to most of the other applications that come natively with all of the other webcams, the OBSBOT Center app seems to be one of the best in my opinion and the most robust. Again, when you think about the form factor this webcam comes in, there's so much customization that it offers. It's kind of crazy. Now, moving on to video quality, it's not really too far off from its competitors, but I'd say it just edges them out a little bit. It might not seem like a big deal, but I've seen web cameras that are way more expensive than this. Once you put them side by side in terms of low light performance, you see lots of noise, chromatic noise, things like that, and you see almost none of it on this webcam. So those are the moments you really appreciate what they've done with the OBSBOT series overall. And this webcam also comes with HDR. If we're in a high dynamic range where you have like a super bright window, or you have a super bright light source in the frame or something like that, and it's just a scene that you can't avoid, switching to HDR will definitely help in retaining more of the information in the brighter parts of the scene. Do be aware that if you switch to HDR mode, I don't think you're able to do high frame rate recording, like you're not able to do like 100 frames. I think it's gonna dial it back down to 30 frames per second because of the HDR mode. Right, so this is a microphone test of the OBSBOT Meet SE. This is the kind of audio you can expect out of the mic. In my opinion, I think it's perfectly fine. It's way better than lots of other web microphones I've tested, and this is plenty usable. So if you're in a Zoom call, any work type meeting, you definitely don't need an external mic. You're good to go with just this. Right now, it's set to the weak noise reduction. There's a fan on in the background, and there are other appliances. The window is open. Again, not an ideal sound scenario. So I'll keep quiet for a bit just so that you can hear the noise floor. Okay, so I think it's doing a good job in really suppressing all of that noise, and then also keeping your voice sounding, natural, right? Maybe could use a little bit of boost in the volume, but again, this is perfectly fine for most use case scenarios. I do want to put it in a low light scenario. I have two lights on right now, and there's one in the back, obviously. So I'm going to turn off all of these lights, and we'll see how it's going to perform in low light. All of the lights are turned on. The only light source is a single RGB strip. Not the most ideal lighting scenario, but there's not that much noise in the footage. Like if you look at the shadows, there's noise there, but it's just coming off as grain. So it's not very, what's the word? It doesn't look too unpleasant. Even with just one light source, you're good to go. Like it's gonna capture everything. Really what we're testing here is the audio quality, but I'd say for most use case scenarios, work calls, speaking with anyone, this is 100% perfectly fine. So that wraps it up for the audio section, and we're gonna go to my final thoughts. In conclusion, for around $79 in the US and $100 outside of the US because of what's going on in the world right now, for a 1080p webcam, 100 frames per second, I don't think you can do much better than this. Are there cheaper options that might even be better for your scenario? For sure, absolutely. But when you combine all of the features this webcam offers for that price and the build quality and put all of that together, you start to see that you're not really going to see anything out there that's matching this in terms of value. It has really good low light performance. There's almost no noise in the footage. It has AI tracking features. It allows you multiple mounting options. The build quality is really good, very compact. Also, the microphone quality is really good. In fact, I think I actually prefer it to the Tiny SE. What I'm saying is when you put everything together, this is a very solid option. So if you decide that you want to pick up the OBSBOT Meet SE, I have special links in the description that should get you some discounts, no extra cost to you, but it does support the channel. I will get a commission off of eligible sales off of that. So I appreciate you if you use those links to make a purchase. So hopefully this video gave you a good perspective on this webcam if it's something you want to get to use. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Until the next one, stay safe and have a great time.